Well, hello, everybody. It is Heather, and it is bright and early here in Park City, Utah. I am at a conference. It's called No Longer Virtual with some of my best friends. I'm so excited to be here, but I could not let today go by without making sure that I popped in to talk about Employee Appreciation Day. I've been talking about it a lot this week, and it is because it's important, and it shouldn't just be one day of the week, of course, or one day of the year. But in the end, I wanted to talk about it, bring it to the top of the funnel for you to be thinking about. Why is it so important? So, the key with appreciation, there's a lot of different statistics out there, but one of the biggest ones is that 76% of employees will leave their job for one that values them. So it's really worth it to us as we think about the Great Resignation to actually make sure that we're showing our people sincere and genuine appreciation. Because here's the thing, they can sniff it out if it's not real. I'm asking one of my very close friends that you're going to see super duper soon to close the door because it's loud over there. I just wanted to come over here and say that because I think the key is, as we think about the Great Resignation and people leaving, how do we differentiate? And it's not always by paying them more money. Sometimes that is required if they can't sustain their lives and support their families, and pay is important. But there are all these other ways that we can touch their heart and help them feel a better experience at work. And that is like the crux of the matter, right? So I would say one of my tips is make sure that you understand what it is that makes your people feel like you are appreciated, because they're appreciated. Because the issue is often what we do is we give these cookie cutter things. We're like, well, everybody's going to get this thing and everybody's going to get this thing. And while it's a nice gesture, it doesn't necessarily speak to the soul of the person. So we got to get to the bottom of what is it that makes them feel valued. And I know that's hard to scale if you're a 10,000 person company, but if the leaders are having those conversations and they are gathering the information, then it make a lot of sense. There's a person I know, somebody I interviewed for my book. Her name is Denise Testori. So shout out Denise, woohoo! And she talked to us a lot about, about what she did to help her people feel appreciated. What she did is when the new employees would come into the company, I think there were maybe 80 employees. This is not a huge company, but they would actually have them fill out a form, like intake form, and it would say what it was. It would ask them lots of questions, but one of them would say, what makes you feel appreciated? What makes you feel valued? And then they would put that on there, and then the managers would go about doing that. She'd pass that on to the line managers, and then they would go about doing that to make them feel appreciated. And their retention rate is really high. And they're actually in the dry cleaning industry, so it's one of those really high turnover places, but people love working for the company because they show them in very specific ways that they appreciate them. And I'm going to share a story in a little bit of somebody who made me feel appreciated. But first, I have to introduce you to a special guest, somebody who can tell us a little bit more about the brain part, the neuroscience behind appreciation. And that is, voila, Melissa Hughes.
Sit next to you here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you with me, not on another screen, but actually with me.
I know. So they all get to participate in our love fest.
I know. I love her. So for me, appreciation is like a love language. I love to receive it, and I love to give it. So Melissa is the person she's the expert on the neuroscience. What is this doing? What does this do to us when we?
So I don't know. It's good, right? But when we get recognized, when we feel valued, then we feel like we belong. And there are lots of things happening up here. First of all, we're getting serotonin. Serotonin is the recognition chemical. So we get serotonin from sunshine. We get serotonin. Serotonin is that all is right with the world, Zen chemical, right? But we get it when we feel appreciated and we feel valued. We also get oxytocin because when we feel appreciated, we share a human connection with another person. Like another person says, I really appreciate what you did at that meeting. Be specific. Don't just say, hey, Heather, great job. Be specific. Hey, Heather, great job on that presentation today. You really connected with your audience. Like that is a very specific recognition, right? And here's the thing. It's so simple. It takes like less than a minute to actually change the chemistry of somebody else's brain. And if you really want your employees' brains to work well, that's the simplest way to do it. And I just want to share one real quick thing. So I was a leader who used to always say, hey, the founder always speaks so highly of you. The CEO always says blah, blah, blah about you. And while that felt really good, like it would have been so meaningful if the founder would have just told me himself, right? I mean, there are so many simple ways to boost the brain power of your employees, and those who don't get it, like you said, they will move on to a place where they feel valued.
Oh my gosh, I love it because I think about. There's only been a few times I can think about a manager who he did, and unfortunately they were both men. So hey, in Women's History Month we got to support each other. Okay, so we're going to give you some right now.
Right?
I love this. Yeah. But thinking about like how we support people. So this particular manager, he would go out of his way, like go into my office without being announced and just kind of check in on me and say like how much he thought I was doing a good job. And I always felt like it wasn't like an appointment on the calendar, but I was on his mind and it made me feel important. And that's the purpose. I mean, when we think about appreciation and we think about the statistics and what Melissa was talking about, it is this sense of importance that we impart on the people who are in our presence and those who look to us for guidance. So we think about carrying leadership and creating that culture of appreciation and gratitude and wanting people to stay and not walk the heck out of the door. We have to make sure we provide them those senses of, like you said, belonging and care. And all of these things go together. They're like an elixir of care. And we want to be focusing on that all the time.
Absolutely.
Anything else to add on this? Because there's just so much goodness here. I mean, I see you here, my cousin Sean Harper, out in the audience, and I know there'll be other people that will watch this later. Do you have any questions about that, Sean? And if not, that's okay. Because anybody who's out there, you can always. I'll be posting this later on LinkedIn and on Facebook, on Instagram, or YouTube. And so you'll see all of those. See the video there, and you'll see all the comments. But you can always ask questions, and then Melissa and I will come in here also throughout the day and kind of answer those. But again, no, it's Employee Appreciation Day. Let's not make it just one day of the year. Let's do this consistently. If we want to keep our people with us, we want to remember the positive chemicals that are being delivered to the brain. We want to remember how it makes people feel, because listen, employee experience is about how we make people feel. And so this may be irritating to some. You can load process into it to create an experience that makes them feel that way. So with appreciation, you can actually proceduralize it. But in the end, it is how we make them feel that makes them want to stay or run out the door. So remember that today. Happy Employee Appreciation Day from Melissa and Heather. See you all.
Have a great day.
Be well.